it's even worse than normal. All right, here we go. All right, broadcasting from Super Bowl Radio Row in San Francisco, I'm Pat Strathman, another guy representing X-Tech in the house. It's Coach Brian Billick who joins us. Coach, thank you so much for dropping on by. Certainly a unique Super Bowl for us in the Midwest because the Chiefs aren't in it.
Yeah, you got to avoid feeling
it's strange.
Yeah.
We'll just put it at that. Although I don't hate the fact that I don't have to go and wake up bright and early to try to bus somewhere, to try to get player interviews and so on and so forth. So I'm not too distraught. I'm still here. It's still a good time. And I think it's such a unique Super Bowl. I'm sure you probably think the same way, looking at New England with Mike Vrabel taking over. You have Sam Darnold. I don't think anyone would have thought Sam Darnold
Phenomenal
would play
story,
in a Super Bowl. So what's your main takeaway with this upcoming Super Bowl coming up?
Well, I always love looking at the Super Bowl and what does this tell us about the league? What are the trends? What does it tell us about? And some interesting things about this one. First off, in an age where, obviously we got all these coaching changes and everybody's looking for the young gun guru and this, that. We got two defensive coaches that are head coaches compared to the young offensive guys that we think this is the way to go in terms of hiring. So both with defensive backgrounds. We have two quarterbacks that are ahead of, and two teams that are built with great defense, run the ball, certainly good quarterback play, but they're not the quarterback-driven success that whether it's a Patrick Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen that you've come to expect, Tom Brady's that you've come to expect over the previous Super Bowl champions, that these are the two, no question, best teams in the NFL. They're the most complete teams in the NFL. They're the most balanced teams in the NFL and not driven by a singular entity like at the quarterback position. So I think that makes this a very interesting matchup. This is what makes it so close. And you're right, Sam Darnold is such a phenomenal story in terms of, I wrote a book in 2018, his draft called The Q Factor, basically trying to chronicle why do we get it so wrong at the quarterback position in the NFL? Because your first-round pick's got a 50-50 chance of being any good. And Sam Darnold's the prototype for that. Some people thought maybe taken a little early, does not have success early, bounces around, but finally learns, grows, finds the right match with the right couple teams to develop his game, and now he sits here in the Super Bowl. So it's a great story, I think, for the NFL, and again points out that particularly when it comes to quarterback play in the National Football League, nobody knows anything.
As a former coach, how amazing has it been watching Mike Vrabel do what he's done? I don't think anyone should be too surprised because the guy's won a few Super Bowls and he knows how to win. And in Tennessee, just the way it goes in the NFL, sometimes it's time for a change.
Right.
A change is made, and he winds up really being in the best possible position, going back to an organization he knows quite well. He has a quarterback who probably just needs that secret sauce, and here's Mike Vrabel coming in, and now here's New England back in the Super Bowl.
I love when former players who want to stay in the profession, commit to the profession and do the groundwork that you have to do. Everybody would say, oh, yeah, sure, I'll be a head coach of the National Football League. No, go back, you do the assistant thing. You learn the trade. And Mike Vrabel did that and was able to bring back now with that credibility to help New England, who post-Belichick kind of wandered there a little bit. They thought they were extending that tradition that they had by hiring Mayo in the position they did, but then realized, no, we need to reconnect and we need to change a little bit, and brought Mike Vrabel in, who, because of his experiences, has adapted himself, learned a little bit more, and now can with those experiences reconnect the Patriots to that great tradition that they have, that great lineage that they have, and the success. You're right. It's a great story in watching the rebirth of a great organization that kind of maybe lost. And it's not just it's the entire organization from Mr. Kraft down. I think had to adjust and learn and reconnect with what they knew was a winning formula. It's not just a matter of Mike Vrabel showing up and calling better plays or being the right guy in that regard. Help reestablish that entire culture. So it's great to see.
What went wrong in Kansas City, and how does Kansas City get back to the Super Bowl next year?
At the end of the day, this game has been and always will be the same thing in terms of the cliche. It's about Jimmys and Joes and not X's and O's. Because the fact of the matter is, X's and O's, everybody's doing the same thing. They really are. You ran out of some Jimmies and Joes. You didn't have the right combination of Jimmies and Joes in terms of augmenting what is still obviously the dominant quarterback in the league, for my money, in Patrick Mahomes. But whether it's the receiving corps, whether the offensive line, the defense played very, very well. Few vulnerabilities, obviously. So obviously you got to get the right people back in the right combination. We just need better players. Well, yeah, everybody's going to try to get better players. You have to get the right players to reestablish that, just what we talked about, that lineage, that pedigree that you have in Kansas City, knowing that you're beginning with that franchise quarter. What a great place to begin with. You're not having to retool this entire team or the organization or the culture, because you begin with a future Hall of Fame quarterback to adjust with going forward. And they'll be back at it next year.
How do they go about retooling that roster? I feel like they have so many areas to go in. How do you go about addressing it? Where do you even start, I suppose?
Well, you look at the elements. What didn't we have that we had in the past that made the receiving core in terms of the dynamic that they can add to the down the field, to that explosiveness, the ability to run the ball, and that mentality in the offensive line. Defensively, showing up maybe a back end that needs some to give you the ability that if I got to go man and bring pressure, we can do that. We don't have to sit in that zone or trap zone in the back end. But like every team, it's multidimensional. You're never the teams that go out and pay obscene money for one player going, well, we're one player away. No, you're not. You're never just one player away. It's that puzzle is a little more dynamic than that. So you got to go find probably a couple of these pieces of the puzzle.
Eric Bieniemy's returning. I think some fans are looking at that going, well, hold on, how big of a deal is this? Eric Bieniemy's known as the accountability coach. Patrick Mahomes has stated to have him back, having a guy holding people accountable, that could clean some things up. Rushing attack-wise, hasn't been ideal. He's known for his run-blocking schemes. Saw what he did in Chicago this past year, seeing them have a solid rushing attack with a couple backs. Eric Bieniemy returning, how big of a deal can that be for Kansas City?
It can be, like anything, if it's the right person that fits into the overall dynamic of the emotional and mental aspect of what you want this team to be. He's not going to bring any magical schemes that they weren't doing before. That just doesn't exist. If he's going to come back and help Andy reestablish a certain attitude on offense, that accountability you start with, that if you need help with that, and someone in the room every day, and you think that's what you're missing, then Eric is going to be a good pickup for them to deal with retooling some of the offensive pieces and creating a certain mentality. It's not going to be anything about the schematics or the tactics, because, like I said, that those everybody in this league is doing the same thing. So it really is about tying in and platforming the abilities of your players. That's really what you're talking about.
Well, Coach, who you got going into the Super Bowl? Who do you got winning this thing coming up?
I split this thing 50-50 so that I pick one team for half the radio stations. And so on Monday, half the country still thinks I know what I'm talking about.
Smart.
This is going to be a great game. It's going to be a close game. I think Seattle is just a little bit more of a physical team. But certainly Drake May and the way he's playing, this is going to come down to the end, may come down to the field goal kickers.
Hey, that sounds like a lovely ending to me. I'm hoping that if Seattle's down, they're at the goal line, hand the ball off.
Don't throw a slant. I watched that replay the other night. It was like, I had forgotten they had done that.
I still will never forget that moment. It's crazy. X-Tech, you're here for X-Tech. Look at these pads on display. Safety, player safety is so important. And this thing just continues to explode.
Yeah, 14 years, and we're the number one pad in pro in college football. I'm so excited we're making our way down to the youth pad now. I've got a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old grandson that are actually more the prototypes for this at the youth pad level, because this is the best protection you can have for your young players. In the advent of technology we have, The X-Tech bot is AI driven, that these pads are based on your height, your weight, your injury history, your playing position, the level you're playing at, because you got to take the head out of the game. The pads are all that much more important. It is the next wave of technology that no one else is doing. This is the pads our young people need to be in.
Coach, appreciate your time.
Glad
Enjoy
to do
the
it.
rest of the week.
All right, we'll do it. Thank you.